Good afternoon. This is a regular meeting of the Cameron County Commissioners Court. March the 11th, 2008 is now about 5 o'clock. As we do all meetings, we will start with an invocation. Who is here to lead us in the invocation? Anybody? I've got to rely then on Sister Tamayo to do that. Commissioner Tamayo, like this invocation?
Is my halo showing?
Always.
Please stand. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Lord, we thank you for this beautiful day and this beautiful weather. We ask for your guidance as we go through this meeting. We thank you for the elections that have taken place. Guide the newly elected personnel, people that have been elected. Guide them to be public servants, as I'm sure they will be, dear Lord. Guide them in their decisions. We ask you to protect our employees in this county, keep them safe, and help us to do the very best, and help us always to remember that we're public servants. In your name we ask. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Let me ask Mr. Joe Gavito and Mr. Peter Goodman to lead us in the pledges, starting with the U.S. pledge and the Texas pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one indivisible. Thank you, gentlemen. Do I hear a motion to go into executive session to discuss two items?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. There's two items. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court legal counsel concerning terms of right of entry to be granted to the federal government to survey and do site evaluations on Cameron County-owned property along the river for the Border Security Infrastructure Project, commonly referred to as the border fence, authority to represent Cameron County in said litigation pursuant to Code Section 551.071. Secondly, confer with Commissioners Court legal counsel concerning Cameron County Irrigation District Number 6 on a claim for payment pursuant to Code Section 551.0711A and 2. We'll be back in a little bit. All right, do I hear a motion to come out of executive session? Moved by Commissioner Tamayo.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item A, confer with Commissioners Court legal counsel concerning terms of right-of-way entry to be granted to the federal government. Do I hear, is this just to acknowledge the report? Okay. Okay, someone got to make a motion to approve to allow them, based on the conditions that we set forth to them, to survey the county property.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item B, confer with Commissioners Court legal counsel concerning Cameron County Irrigation District Number 6 on a claim for payment. Do I have a motion to acknowledge report of counsel? Moved by Commissioner
So moved.
Benavides. Do I have a second by Commissioner Wood? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Please note my abstention on that acknowledgement. And the reason for that is because that irrigation district is a client of my firm's. Okay, public comments. Arg Miller? Yes, ma'am. Arg Miller? Okay. It's all right.
Tengo 5 minutos.
¿Mande?
5 minutos.
Lo que necesite, pero within reason.
Within reason.
Yes, ma'am.
Mi nombre es Arch Miller. Vengo aquí para darles una información que es importante para todos. Con todo respeto, vengo con el corazón abierto. Lo traigo en mis manos para que ustedes puedan aceptar las cosas que les voy a decir con honestidad. Cuando fui a votar en el library el día 19, había una gente que, como puedo decir, fue sumamente politiqueras. Pero si yo digo Rose Meléndez, si digo Lupita, si digo, Tommy, ya saben más o menos, la gente que está en el sistema sabe quiénes son, que estaban llevando los viejitos. Los viejitos estaban ahí sentados y estaban nada más así, o estaban, los llevaban de la mano y simplemente con ellos, yo le pregunté a la supervisor, le dije, ma'am, they're not taking the oath? Y dijo, oh, yeah, you're supposed to take the oath, but I have to bring it up to the attention of the lady. Después, cuando me quedé un ratito más, dije, miré otras vans que estaban llegando, como fábrica. ¿Ve? Llegaban de los senior citizens, and I can give you names of the vans porque dice los números y los teléfonos, de los lugares que eran. Va a ser rápido. Ahí en el Central Library, que los señores nada más llegaban y se podía ver que son señores que nada más los sacan de ahí del daycare. Tengo fotografías porque las tomé con el teléfono que traigo todo el tiempo. Yo le hablé y me quejé con el señor Roger Ortiz, pero se supone que estaba muy ocupado. Me pasaron con Miss Normita. De Miss Normita me pasaron, ella me dijo, no, dígale al boarding supervisor. Y ella le había dicho al boarding supervisor que qué es lo que estaba pasando, pues, what's up with that. Entonces, ella lo que dice, pues, háblele allá. Y Miss Norma, she referred me to my concerns to the lady taking, the supervisor. Entonces, I'm quoting the boarding supervisor at the Brownsville Central Library, que dijo, well, we already voiced our concerns, but las politiqueras are taking the handicapped parking spots and the people can park here anymore. So dije, okay, está bueno. Entonces, quiero re-emphasize algo que todos vieron. Rose Melendez admitted in the Brownsville Herald newspaper en febrero 19 de 2008 a las 11:03, and this is, I'm quoting Ms. Rose Melendez, que dijo, I took about 20 people to vote today, say Rose Melendez. And I will probably take another 30 tomorrow. If you don't believe me, check the Brownsville Herald, dated febrero 19 a las 11:03. When I went to the Cameron City, whatever, the main office, Cameron main office, fui y oí a una Lupita. Todos los que nosotros sabemos quién es Lupita. A couple of you will raise their hands. Lupita, in my opinion, was calling a daycare, and I can give you names of daycares, porque estaba diciendo los nombres, outside the main Cameron County Courthouse. Y le decía, ¿quieres que te vaya a levantar? Pues dime cuántos voy a recoger. She was sending the ice cream vans, las que venden las paletas. And I know that the people that were there, including Roger, because I brought it to the attention, que las paleteras, las vans con las paletas, llevaban los viejitos a votar. But this was coordinated with this particular Lupita that I took a picture of her license plates of the car. Okay? I can give you names, Rose, Lupita, Tommy. I don't blame them. I blame the directors of the people of doing this. All these irregularities, you can kind of like, no les estoy diciendo nada nuevo, but this is a concern, and let me tell you how it's going. Yo le hablé al Brownsville PD y they recorded all my phone calls. Entonces ellos se fijaron que había cierta gente que en los 100 feet that says no campaign distribution, en la biblioteca central, todos sabemos cómo está el floor plan, dice no distribución, pasaban, se estacionaban en el estacionamiento que está cerquita de donde pasa para ir a votar, con las camisetas de las gentes, solo que estaban, they were not obeying the 100 feet that says no campaign distribution. I brought it up to the people. Y fui a diferentes lugares. Ustedes han de pensar, esta señora no tiene nada que hacer. No. You can say that when you see something wrong, you have to bring it up to the attention of someone, and something needs to be done. Now, this is one thing that you can go ahead and kind of like. En también me quejé con el main office. Nomás they took the message. They never returned my phone call. Por favor, if anyone can explain to me why, and everybody was in the newspapers, it was everywhere, ¿por qué se le olvidaron poner el post a notice under the Opens Act meeting que van a contar los ballots? What's good for the geese is good for the gander. ¿Ves? ¿Saben todos los que van a andar corriendo para candidatos? ¿Saben todos los que están, que van a estar mirando, que van a tener un representante de poll watcher? Pues, some way, somehow, they forgot. Okay, that's a good mistake. I did call the Secretary of Voting, les mandé una copia de with a sworn affidavit, y me dijeron que technically they're supposed to wait. Well, I guess nobody waited, because en papel, cuando estaban llegando todos los votos, aquí dice que contaron los mail-ins between certain time and certain time. ¿Ve? Y esto no es nada porque estaban ahí puestos nada más, solo que I'm not stealing anything from anybody. Esto estaban cuando estaba la cámara viendo todos los resultados. So this is printouts from the results that anybody puede tomar. Now, contaron los ballots sin tener o el aviso que tienen que tener. This is a violation of the Open Meetings Act. I asked the Secretary of Voting, they're going to come on down, and I'm just kind of making you aware of what's happening right now, because it's coming down. So, otra cosa, some voting boxes, y fíjese como yo nomás fui, I was a poll watcher, porque quería ver cómo está el asunto. I was a poll watcher, y dijo la muchacha, I don't know her name, Marcy or whatever, y una güerita con cabello recogido para arriba, no, muévense para allá porque van a venir las boxes. Pues, ¿para qué nos vamos a mover? Si we're poll watchers, we have to, survey and look at the boxes. Some voting boxes arrived with the locks broken. Miss Mendieta is one that saw, and you can ask all the people around que estábamos mirando the poll watchers, we know who we are, that we were there. We brought it up to Mr. Ortiz, y dicen, as usual, I'm not blaming Mr. Ortiz, I'm not blaming any of you, I'm just telling you what I saw, what I heard. He downplayed it, they counted those, they sorted, and they ran them through. Now, won't those ballot boxes should have been eliminated? According to the Secretary of State, they should have. How many boxes were? Several. But they were ran and they were sorted. Okay? Another thing, I saw some volunteers there that some way, somehow, they're questionable. I can give you names, but they're here. I don't know if they were poll watchers, which technically they shouldn't be there because you have a conflict of interest. Pero it's easy to prove if they were there or not as poll watchers or if they were a conflict of interest because the papers are there. Todo el tiempo cuando una gente es poll watcher, escribe un papel, hace el juramento y estás ahí. Debes estar ahí sin usar el teléfono, debes estar ahí, lo que se dice un poll watcher. You're on the watch. Mucha gente estaban usando el teléfono. I got names here too. ¿Quién está usando el teléfono? In chambers, ahí adentro donde estamos encerrados, y eso no es secreto, porque lo saben todos los poll watchers. La máquina que corre sorting los papeles cuando los juntamos todos y que está para allá, esa máquina, hasta que le dijimos al muchacho Mikey Alto Güerote, what's up with that? I mean, you're not putting that sort, that blank thing. Solo que si corren las de estas y están double sorted o están blanks, no se deben de contar o no está contando accurately. Es otra cosa que las gentes que están en el sistema de la votación sabe qué es y qué no es. ¿Ve? So technically, there was a time, and it is a fact, porque Mikey tuvo que llamar y todos estábamos ahí como mieles ahí mirando a ver qué es lo que iba a pasar. He had to figure out on 127 ballots, those are the ones that we catch him, que estaban pasando. No sabía si se iban a desborrar, se iban a contar, o estaban en memory, o cómo los iba a hacer para save them to diskette. Sir, there was a lot of discrepancies for these. Hubo muchos errores para que esto pueda ser una voting que sea accurate. Y todos nomás, they brush us off. And when I say brush us off, it's because several people voiced their complaints, pero como se mira que mucha gente no tiene la fuerza para venir a decir, this is what happened. Okay? Now, there was at 2 o'clock in the morning some diskettes missing in action. And before then there were some other diskettes también. Porque estaban llegando los precintos y los precintos estaban llegando. Unos precintos que estaban chiquitos, según los números de los precintos, hay unos que son de ciertos lugares que son pequeños. Pues qué casualidad que de repente brincaban las cuentas de los que estaban corriendo para arriba. Y pues, ¿qué pasó aquí? I mean, just by looking. Y nomás estar mirando cómo estaba el asunto. Some diskettes were missing in action, and les voy a decir, either I can go ahead and make this long story with details, I can write them a book, les puedo decir todo cosa por cosa de lo que vi, o se los voy a hacer long story short. Eran como las 12:30 de la mañana, que ya era el día siguiente del marzo 5, estábamos ahí, Elizabeth Dearland, estaba Connie Rosa, estaba yo, estaba Mr. Roger Ortiz y el staff que estaba ahí. Y unas, they were questionable, because I don't know what they were doing there anyway. Ya para eso, se supone que si estamos todavía encerrados, no debe entrar la gente ni salir y pasar, pero pues había puro entradera y salidera. Pero esas dos son las cosas que me fijé, que cuando queríamos ir a ver los mailing boats, no nos dejaron ir a ver los mailing boats que teníamos que contar. We are poll watchers. Y no nos dejaron ir, pregúntele a Mundo. La gente conoce quién es Mundo, ¿ve? Pero cuando estaban a la 1 de la mañana, estaba la entrada y la salidera. No había nadie que nos mirara qué es lo que estábamos haciendo. En ese entonces, como a las 12:30, faltaban todavía 4 disquetes que eran de Harlingen, los indios, la Feria San Benito, y esos son importantes porque eso es lo que iba a decidirse. Mr. Rosas iba a correr con Ben Cassidy, o iba él a ganar solo, o iba a correr con otros. So, qué casualidad que llegó Mr. Jared Hoekema. Yo no sé si debe estar ahí o no, porque es el co-chairman del ese, pero he told Roger, pues call the police department over there so they can go open the building, ¿ves? Y no hallaban como qué hacer, y eso pasó, because there's several witnesses. Entonces yo le dije, pues Mr. Roger, yo aquí me quedo hasta las 5 de la mañana a ver qué pasa con los disquetes. Lord and behold, después de las 1, las 2, llegaron los disquetes, ¿ve? Entonces esos disquetes eran de cierto 21, 26, 55, 58, era el 80, era lo que es los indios, la feria, Harlingen y San Benito. El que sabe de precinto sabe más o menos quiénes son. En estos de repente llegaron, nos esperamos 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2 de la mañana, y en esto nada más llegaron, según las tabulaciones, nada más 6 más votos para Mr. Rosas. I don't know Mr. Rosas, you know, probably I talked to him once or twice cuando, you know, que vote por mí o vete por este. La razón es que miré cómo las cosas estaban curiosas. Now, I like numbers. Todo el tiempo a mí me gustan los números y me gustan los flowcharts. Hice los flowcharts de cómo estaban llegando los precintos y muchos no hacen conexión. No hacen conexión como llegaban a las 6, como llegaban a las 8 de los precintos que llegaban. ¿Ve? Solo lo único que nomás les estoy making you aware that I already faxed a notarized copy to the Secretary of Voting. I already left a copy at the FBI office, y una is return receipt to the Ethics Committee. And the reason being, because of all these discrepancies, alguien tiene que hacer algo de esto. Y como les estaba diciendo, I am here in person, with my heart, doing and submitting a formal complaint for the discrepancies that happened, because this creates a substantial and substantial damages to all the people that were out there poniendo los advertisings, haciéndolos todo lo que tienen que hacer. I mean, this is something that needs to be brought up, because if you leave it unattended, it's voter fraud. It's right here. This is voter fraud. And aquí está donde le estoy diciendo, cualquier gente que es common sense necesita analizar las estadísticas. You need to analyze the statistics y mirar que no se necesita un genio para mirar. Las ballots de repente se perdieron, de repente se encontraron, y esto, it doesn't jive. I mean, it just is, you know, all you can do, para la gente que está en todo eso que está relacionado de las votaciones, how can you not say that there's vote fraud, being that all the discrepancies that happen? Es muy fácil. Todos los precintos, por precinto, les dan como una raffle tickets, cuáles tienen que tener. Muchas se fijan que otras llegan que no deben estar ahí. Entonces, if you want to prove it really, because it's coming up and it's coming down, find out how many volunteers, quién estaba encargado de cada precinto, quién trabajó las polls, qué número de ballots se dieron a cada poll y qué número se devolvieron. I'm just letting you know it's on the works now. Now, here is a statement, and I made a copy, and it's going also to the U.S. Marshal. This is going to be investigated. I'm just letting you know and giving you the courtesy that all these things happened and everybody knew about it, because people are going to come out that saw this. No, ma'am, I'm not here to answer your questions. I'm here to give a statement.
Thank you.
¿Qué
¿O es usted politiquera y lo admite?
Okay,
Porque yo no soy politiquera.
okay, hold on. Y'all can take that outside if you
Yes,
want.
thank you very much.
But thank you very much for your commentary. If you want anything to be made part of the public record, you can give it to our county clerk and whomever you want to give that to. Thank you, Ms. Miller. Yeah, Roger, let me just get Mr. Montoya is next, and then you can, anybody else that did not sign up for public comment is more than welcome to, if we keep it civil.
Good afternoon, Commissioners, Judge.
Juan, good afternoon.
Congratulations, both of you. I noticed Mr. Garza's not here. At one time, there used to be a gentleman sitting down where you're at, Judge. His name was Tony Garza, and I remember we worked together with him. But he used to have a saying that said that sometimes the appearance of a conflict of interest or malfeasance was even more important than the actual occurrence of an impropriety. And that's so true, because when questions like this ladies has, it arises and it questions the legitimacy of the process and puts it in doubt. And I think that's probably more damaging to any entity, any government, than actually somebody stealing a vote or forging a signature. All of you are elected, all of us voted, all of us have a stake in this, that this process works right, that it be a fair and impartial vote and fair and impartial system, a process. During this election, there was a lot of things heard. Read the blogs, it's full of it. I mean, Cameron County come out looking pretty in this one. We got the Secretary of State shutting down the mail-in verification and count. We got diskettes that were lost and misplaced. We got ballot boxes that were turned in with the locks broken. We got elderly voters who were herded in by political operatives who helped them vote without even taking their oath. Actually, you know, right now we're involved in a war in which we have our brave men and women are fighting to provide us with these basic rights, and this voting is one of the most basic rights. It's the very foundation of our entire governmental system. I think we owe it to them to assure that their sacrifice isn't in vain. I don't know, I hate to think that when I go to vote, my vote is being naturalized by an elderly person who doesn't even know who he voted for or who they voted for. That should raise the question about, in all of us, is why should we vote? If somebody can actually buy 30, 40, 50 votes, what's a vote worth? Why go vote? Just let them have it. Anyway, maybe we need some disclosure form also. It wasn't until this election that I found out that Mr. Ortiz is related to one of the candidates that was running for county commissioner. I would have liked to know that before this all happened. Maybe we don't need an investigation. Maybe what we need is for us to inquire of our own county whether what we're doing is perpetuating a system that takes away from the legitimacy of this process. I think we owe it to ourselves to at least, if not investigate, at least inquire, so that we can all be sure that we're participating in a good process, that you know, we're not part of the third world, that we actually do elect, and I have no question about you, representatives, but that actually in the future, that we don't perpetuate these kind of questions in the legitimacy of this process, of my county. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger?
Thank you, Commissioners and County Judge. Well, first of all, I didn't hear the First Lady's comments completely. So I came in and it had already started. But I'd really like to know who I'm related to in the Commissioners, to one of the Commissioners, because it'd be a real surprise to me. I've got no relationship, I mean, there's no relationship between a Commissioner and myself. And if he's referring to the fact that way back years ago, my sister was married to somebody that was related to a spouse of one of the Commissioners, well, that has nothing to do with me. And the fact that that this election, from what I hear, from what I got to hear, that this election has a lot to be desired is also not true and not there. I would challenge anybody to see and look at the election and look at what we've done. I mean, we spent countless hours preparing for it. There was a lot of effort put in by my staff. We've never had any problems with an election. And this time, because there's a convention after an election, and people get confused because of vote twice in Texas, it's legal, that started it all. The training for the conventions was not part of any part of the election process for me. That had to be done, that had to be through the parties. So there was a lot of things that happened this election that are being placed on our department, which is very unfair. We have, you all can recall the elections we've had. We've had elections that ended up at 9:30, at before 10 o'clock, ready for the news to take up and report. We've had those elections, and yeah, this election was going to take longer. The fact that was brought up that the Secretary of State's office delayed our mail-in counting, well, that's not true. The Secretary of State's office didn't delay it. We went back and answered a complaint from one of the candidates, and in answer to the complaint, we delayed that mail-in process. We called the Secretary of State's office to let them know what we had done and what we were doing, and they concurred with us that that was the proper thing to do. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are being said that are actually not said properly or the way they happened. Yes, Mr. Shergold had made us aware that a notice had been posted, and we had already started that meeting, and we had so much to do. The person that was doing it, that was supposed to have done that posting, posted only one of the parties' notice. Came back, and according to what I was told by that person, came back and got involved with something else, and the second notice wasn't gone back in place. It was a simple error or an oversight, and that was corrected. We answered that complaint, and Mr. Shergold, if he was here, and if he is here, you know, he can address that, because he came back to me after the election and said, Roger, I appreciate what you did. You did the right thing, and I'm glad you did, and one of the reasons why I let you know right away was because I knew you would correct it. So, I mean, those are things that happened during an election. Our election wasn't one that was only, you know, that things happened in Cameron County. Throughout the state, you had a lot of things happening. You had other counties that were way later than us. And talking about lateness, the precincts that were late in wasn't because, you know, there were ballots scattered somewhere or ballots not counted here or something like that. They had placed the PCMCIA card, which is the card that has the information on each one of those M100s. They were placed in the wrong envelope or the wrong place. We had the last one that we could not find. Had it not been that we asked the transfer case, which carries all voted ballots, already locked up, because we can't touch those ballots once the voter places them, scans them in the precinct counters. They were locked up. We decided to bring it back into central count. That's the only time that we can open those boxes, so that because we have poll watchers, and so that we can verify everything in there. We saw that card sitting right on top of all the voted ballots. Okay? And at that time, we had a team in La Feria. We had the JPs up, we had the commander up, and he was good enough and gracious enough to give us help, go open the building, so we can look into that precinct counter and see if that card was there. By that time, we found it and we called him back, but he was already there. So we had help like that from different people. We did everything that we could in our power to make sure that everybody knew exactly what needed to be done. If it wasn't done correctly, that wasn't our control. That was completely outside of our control. We couldn't do any more than what we did. The training that is done to everybody that shows up that we recruit. This time there was people that were recruited by the parties. And at the very end, even the day before, we were training in my office, we were training people very late that night, because some of the people for the precincts had not been recruited yet. You know, and we had 14, 15 locations that the party was there in our office when we were offering the help to get those locations staffed. Now, I mean, we've gone way out of our way to make sure that an election goes well. I mean, I've had staff in there, and this is something that I commend them for, their dedication, and their pursuing the right thing to do, is because we had people, at least 2 staff members in my office, that worked almost 40 hours straight, were taking breaks to eat something, and so, to complete the process, because a lot of these things were coming in late from the parties. So, I mean, I've got nothing to be ashamed of as far as the election, and I got nothing to hide as far as the election is concerned. I had heard that people were complaining about one party's staff or workers coming in and us not doing something about it, when their people were coming in and we were getting after them. Well, I took care of things when I went to the polling locations, and when I saw something wrong happening, it didn't matter to me who it was. And if it had been a relative of mine, it didn't matter to me. I was going to make sure that everything went by the law, by the code, by the statute. And people know that. I mean, the candidates know that. If you get any candidate here, they can't say the opposite, because I'm as transparent as can be as far as an election is concerned. So, I feel bad for people come up here, people that I tried to help when they were working with somebody, trying to help one of the candidates and asking me for advice. And I gave them advice, and they saw how I was doing things. And then to come up here and talk that way about an election process in Cameron County, I kind of take it personal in a way, because I don't know, well, I do and I don't, because I know they're looking to, for their candidates, they're looking to help their candidates and making sure that everything goes well. And I can see that. But to come in and say some things as fact that are not fact, it just offends me for that. So, I don't know what else to say, Judge, Commissioners, but I'm there, and I've done my best throughout the years that I've been here, and that election department, I can tell you right now, has never been better than it is right now.
Thank you, Roger.
Thank you.
Any comments? Yeah, we can comment.
Good evening. I'd just like to make 2 comments. One of them is that I served as a poll watcher at the university, and I was very disappointed to see that there was a lot of new voters. I was all excited because there was a lot of new, students that were all excited. And I was disappointed to see that the system wasn't working properly. And then I think that they need to be trained properly, especially the judges, and also that when you have people that are there, they don't have to be rude. There was a man there that was actually telling people going by, you're not supposed to be walking in with, the whatever cards that were being given. And I didn't think it had to be handled that way. Also, I was very disappointed. I don't know if it is a concern from the city with the caucus voting, but that was the biggest mess that I have ever seen. We had people that were wanting to vote that did not vote because they were standing in line. They were told to stand in line, and then when they were going to go into vote, they said you can't vote because it's already after 7. And to me, it's misinformed workers for the elections department, because they should be more organized. Everyone was upset. I'm surprised that there wasn't a fight, and I'm talking about a physical fight there. It was terrible, and I've talked to so many people, and the concern is the same everywhere they went. They were very, very disappointed and very confused about the way that was handled. So for what it's worth, I just wish that I serve in a lot of committees wanting to help the community because we want to get our voters out there, and yet when we know there's a lot of discrepancies and a lot of things that don't go right, it almost makes you feel like that's the reason why people don't want to vote. So, for what it's worth. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further comment from anybody? I will tell you that perception is reality, and I've said this before, that perception is reality until it's proven otherwise. And I was in D.C., and I was getting calls at 3 or 4 in the morning from the news media, not being able, now I know there's an hour difference, but not being able to access certain information or whatever. So this item will be placed. Well, first let me say this, that I think, in all fairness, Roger, I think you need to have the opportunity to respond to the written commentary that's been presented here already. So I think you need to get a copy of it and, address each specific one and say if it's true or not true. The Elections Commission I'll be convening a meeting in the next couple of weeks with the Elections Commission, maybe after the runoff, and discuss what happened and why it happened. I will tell the audience that I disagree. I think that we made national news. Had, you know, the CBS affiliate call me and saying we're national news that our county was one of the last ones to provide results, rightly or wrongly. I mean, I don't know, I wasn't here. But I think that these are legitimate concerns that have to be addressed. They need to be addressed. And if there's an issue regarding employees being in the rooms or not being in the room, well, then we have to address that as a county policy. I don't think that anything illegal took place, and as far as having somebody there, but I think it may bring some, you know, some common sense issues. So we need to address that from a policy perspective. But I think that Ms. Miller's comments, I think if you can provide Mr. Ortiz with a copy of that letter and give him the opportunity to respond to you, because the Elections Commission will get that letter as well, and hopefully by that time you'll have some responses. I don't know if the election ran smoothly or not. I mean, I can tell you that I don't think anything happened that would have swayed a vote either way, because I don't think none of the races were really, really close. But I think it's important that we do maintain that air of objectivity and independence, and we'll have to address that. And I think we will do that in the Elections Commission meeting, where we take all this, and Ms. Miller, you can, I have a phone number here for you that I think that you ought to be coming forth at the Elections Commission meeting and air the same concerns if Mr. Ortiz cannot answer those concerns. But I think that it takes a lot of courage for somebody to come up and make presentations, whether they're right or wrong. I mean, either way, it takes a lot of courage to put your face. I mean, I get a lot of anonymous phone calls, anonymous letters, and I don't do a whole lot with them, because unless someone's willing to come forward and sign, it really doesn't mean a whole lot, unfortunately. So, in any case, Roger, get a copy of the correspondence that she provided to us. And I think Mr. Montoya is gone, but if you want to visit with him, and if he wants to put something in writing, I think with Ms. Rosenbaum, if you want to put something in writing in terms of specific things that occurred, I think we need to give the powers to be the opportunity to respond to each and every one of those challenges and concerns. So, and that's a fair thing to do. So we'll just do that. Any other comment? Okay. Thank you all. Okay, presentation, consideration and approval of a resolution of the Commissioners Court of the County of Cameron, Texas, providing tax abatement to certain historical properties included in the 2008 City of Brownsville Heritage Plan. These items come before us, I think, every year, and unless someone has unless you want to add something specifically, I think it's pretty standard that we do this.
This is, Judge, this is the 21st year of this
Correct.
Heritage Plan.
Correct.
And also, the city, the university, the port, and school district have all supported the same resolution.
Correct.
Knowing how... We'd like to express the gratitude of all the folks who have taken the time and the energy to maintain all these buildings with the assistance of the taxing entities and their initiative.
I'd just like to indicate that I do know how closely y'all watch these things, and I haven't seen any of them that you've let slip through the crack yet.
We got to do things at night.
I feel confident about the report you put together and what you're requesting, and I'd make a motion to approve.
Second.
That was a motion by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, item carries. Please note my abstention on 647 East St. Charles, known as the Hanson Todd House. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Consent items. Are there any items that any member of the court wish to take? What consent?
Questions on B and C.
Okay.
I'd like to pull...
Okay, hold on. Okay. Consent items and travel items 5A through S, and travel items 6A through D. Okay, which items would y'all like to start with, Commissioner Tamayo?
B and C for me.
B and C to take out separately. We're going to table item A at the request of Mr. Lopez. Is that correct, Robert? Where'd he go? Right? Okay. Any other items, Commissioner Tamayo?
No, that's all.
Commissioner Wood?
Item Q.
Q? OP. Q. Anything on travel? Commissioner Benavides, any other items? No? Okay. Do I hear a motion to approve all the consent and travel items with the exception of item A, having to do with the transfer of AT&T phone services and contract from HIPCS to Voice DNA utilizing their TDIR contract, which will be tabled. Item B, consideration authorization to pay professional engineering license. Item C, consideration authorization to accept Brown Pelican Lane and some other streets in Precinct 4. And item Q, consideration authorization to contract with Joe Santopetro. Do you hear a motion to approve all the items with the exception of those I just mentioned?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second.
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item B, consideration authorization to pay professional engineering license renewal for Carlos Alejandro Sanchez, Assistant Staff Engineer. Commissioner Tamayo.
Okay, I know that Alex does an excellent job for us, but I just wanted to make sure, is this a policy that we have for, I would think for any professional, if we do it for him, is there someone in the health department that needs renewal for licenses? Is there anybody else in the county that needs that? Because I don't want to be doing it for one person and not for another.
As I recall, we do pay the professional licensing fees for all our engineers,
Legal.
CPAs, attorneys, things of that nature, so it's not the only one.
I just wanted to make sure, and I know that we
Everyone's
did it
treated the
before,
same.
but I just make sure that it's across the board and not just one department.
Yes, ma'am.
Motion for
Does
approval.
that answer okay? Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Item carries. Item C, consideration authorization to accept Brown Pelican Lane, Seahawk Lane, Seagull Lane, Albatross Street, Spoonbill Street, Curlew Street, Osprey Street, and Pink Flamingo Street, located in Pelican's Landing Estates, Phase 1, Subdivision, Precinct 4, as recorded in Cabinet 1, page 2810-B, 2811-A, and 2811-B of the Cameron County Map Records, Cameron County, Texas, into the county road system.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure, well, Ernesto, I guess you're here, and
Sure.
Rick was the one that
Yes.
checked those roads. I just want to make sure they're in good condition, because the last thing I need is to end up with 700 miles. I already have 500.
Yes, ma'am. As a matter of fact, he quarterly goes out to the, in occasions more often than that, but quarterly he'll inspect those roads and make sure that there are not any failures or visible.
And they were meeting because I've been on those roads and they look like they're in good shape, but I'm not an engineer. I just want to make sure that they are the width that they're supposed to be, the drainage is there, and so on. I mean, is that what you're signing off on?
And these are paved, they're all paved roads.
That's correct.
These were private roads, part of the subdivision. They went through a year.
A year's
Wear and tear?
warranty, and then an extended 1-year bond, we call a maintenance bond. And then after that, they'll check it around every quarter till you have a final inspection, and that's when he'll either make a recommendation or not to us, the engineering division.
Okay, so we're gonna, okay. So
And
that's a
based on us,
process we're gonna
the
follow.
observation, physically looking at it, if there's no visible or anything that's deteriorated
So what's that
there.
timeline, Ernesto?
It's over almost 2 years of observation. And so we bring it back to the court at that time for consideration into the county road system, this particular roads.
Okay.
And they have the lengths and the names of the roads that are going to be.
Okay.
From now on, effective today, if it's approved, it'll go into the county road system to be maintained from here on.
Any further discussion?
Motion for approval.
Do I hear a motion by Commissioner Tamayo? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Benavides. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item Q, consideration and authorization to contract with Joe Santopetro for professional services to design the expanded nutrition program floor plan located at the Cameron County San Benito Annex. Commissioner Wood?
I asked that this be pulled out. I was looking at the quote here, and I do realize that Mr. Santopetro is the architect that did the original design on the property, but at $5 a square foot for him doing his work, I was wondering if it's possible that that could be done in-house as opposed to going outside and having someone else do this design.
The design or the construction?
Well,
he's got two schemes here that he's
Right.
talking about doing with, and each of them are about $5 a square foot. His fee, if I understand this correctly, they're offering scheme one at $15,300 and scheme two at $10,300 for different square footages. Is this not something we could do in-house as far as laying this out for the expansion?
Not the design. We are gonna do the construction in-house.
Right.
And the price he's quoting, $60 a square foot, that's contractor price.
Construction price.
Right. We do it probably for about $30 a square foot. But the design, no, we don't, because we don't have an architect that can seal the plans. Because it's gonna require mechanical, plumbing, electrical.
Is this something that requires an architect to do?
Yes.
I guess is my next question.
Yes.
Anything further? Nope. Do I hear a motion to approve item Q? Moved by Commissioner Benavides. Do I have a second? Second. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Item carries. Item 7, action items, budget amendments, line item transfers, and/or salary schedules. Javier?
Judge and Commissioners, there were both line item transfers and budget amendments included in your packets. The budget amendments were all setting up funding for various grant projects.
You recommend them, Javier?
Yes.
Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wood. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Approval of county claims. Everybody have the opportunity to approve the claims and with the additions that were sent up? Do I hear a motion to approve the claims?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Benavides. Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Please note my abstention on the two affidavits I provided to you. Approval of the minutes, February 26, 2008. Have the court members had an opportunity to review the minutes?
Motion for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by Commissioner Wood. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Item D, consideration and approval of amendments to the Isla Blanca Park policies and procedures. Javier? Javier, did you, just as a question, I read them, but I couldn't tell which ones were the new ones, couldn't have them compared to the old ones. Did you highlight them and bold them or something?
It's bold, yes,
I
sir.
had my eyesight, okay.
And the only thing that what we did was, just to clean the thing up, we added our new address, on G, which is 1, general park policies. G, we added our new address there. It's 33174 State Park Road 100. And on the back, number 3, we added all our, entrance fees on there, Judge. And we also included the, fees for the boat ramp.
Did you run this by the Parks Advisory
Yes, sir.
Board already? They signed off on it?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any question for any commissioner?
Motion for approval.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo. Do I
Second.
have a second by Commissioner Benavides? Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Last item on the regular agenda, discussion and possible action regarding the county, state, and federal legislative agenda.
We had our trip to Washington last week. We met with, started our trip, we met with Coast Guard, and we met with the State Department to talk about our international bridge projects. We also met with Congressman Ortiz, Congressman Hinojosa, Congressman Cuellar, and we met with Senator Cornyn and Senator Hutchison. And we presented them our list of our projects, which is this packet that has all our projects that we have previously shown to you. Real good meetings. We talked about our priorities and what we need, hopefully this coming year from them. And so, it went well.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion to acknowledge Mr. Garcia's report?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Wood, second by Commissioner Tamayo. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. There's a supplemental.
Yeah.
It's a second regular supplement.
Supplemental notice, discussion, possible action regarding issues related to the dune protection permit for the Department of Transportation. Do you want this item tabled, Pete? Do I hear a motion to
Move to
table the
table.
item? Moved by Commissioner Wood. Do I have a second by Commissioner Benavides? Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Judge, before you...
Yes, ma'am.
You adjourn the meeting, I wanted to take this time to thank all the residents of Precinct 1 and Cameron County for having participated in this election. I think it was overwhelming to see everybody that was interested in voting. And I want to commend Mr. Ortiz because it was not a regular election. And I know that I went to visit him on several occasions. And he was there and he was trying to take care of all the problems that he had. And I think that based on the fact that he didn't have everything to work with, he did a good job. And for that, I thank you, Roger. And I hope that this court will see fit to make sure that the next time there's an election such as this, or any other election for that matter, that we take care of your department. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Congratulations to you and Commissioner Gatsa, for your campaign, and thank you for your public service. I saw Sheriff Lucio walk into the audience. Sheriff, congratulations to your victory as well, and thank you for your public service as well. Joe Rivera, thank you for not being on the ballot this time. Thank you. Sure.
I've been around elections and election administrators for, I'm not going to say the years because then I'll show my age,
Just say decades.
But for over 30 years, and I happen to believe that Roger is the best election administrator we have ever had, And we've had some good ones. As precinct convention, and I've been to some where only one or two people show up. At Precinct 61, we had almost 200 people there, and when people say that people are not trained right, they probably are not, because the judges don't show up, They show up on election day, or just to pick up the equipment and the supplies. But when you have training where all this is discussed and told to them, they don't show up, And I don't care how much you pay them. I know that we went from $2 an hour to, and now how much do we pay them, right? And then you pay the judge extra money, and they still don't show up. And these are the Democratic and Republican primaries. And the Democrats and the Republicans, most of them, select the people that are going to work at the polling places. We have to rush at the last minute. I know that I'll lend them about people to work on the election. Other officers helped out too. But in my opinion, Roger does one heck of a good job. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And you're right, it's hard to get these election judges out there, and it's very difficult to get volunteers even if you pay them a little bit. It's hard, and it was a historical election. Let's hope that the momentum continues and we continue that type of voter turnout with every subsequent election. It's important to do that, and I know the elections office works hard, but, I'll tell you what, there were some problems, and for us to say that there weren't is, putting our head in the sand, and when that happens, another part of your anatomy is exposed. And so, there are some problems that we have to address, and we have to look at them and take them seriously and hope that they don't occur again. So this is a good learning experience for everybody, and let's just learn from it. So, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Tamayo, second by?
Second.
I think we already did that, right? Benavides. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Item carries. God save this honorable court.